Welcome into another live mock draft here on the TDN YouTube channel, the TDN Twitter account. Chris Schubert with two live mock draft newbies. They're making their debuts here on the live mock draft. Keith Sanchez, Damian Parson from the TDN scouting team. Their first time they're going, we've kicked the dudes out. They're gone. Kyle Krabs, Joe Marino, they're out. Keith and Damian are in to give it a whirl here on a Thursday night on the live mock draft here. Guys, are we excited? Are we nervous? Just so you know, I have the YouTube chat open. They're ready to grill you. I got the Twitter comments open. We're ready. I'll give you guys feedback as we go. But are we excited? Are we nervous? How are we feeling?
Oh, man, I'm ready to rock and roll, man. We have 1 minute to make these picks. GMs usually have 10, 15 minutes, but I think everybody's going to like our picks a whole lot better than when it comes back around. So I'm excited to rock and roll, get to do it with my guy, Damian. Chris going to be running point guard for us. I'm excited.
Yes, sir. I'm excited too, man. You know, first time doing this thing, you know, with TDN. So I'm hyped. Let's get it.
I'll tell you what, we were in the pre-show, we were talking because just so everybody knows, Keith's got the odds tonight, so he's kicking us off with pick number one that we'll get to here in a minute. Damian's got the evens, and we were joking with Keith that he spent all day. He's got the war room ready to go. He's had all these different scenarios laid out, and that he had himself ready to go. But for those of you who maybe didn't join us last week, this is your first live mock draft. You're going to see bottom left-hand corner of your screen. You got the picks, you got the time, and then you got that scroll at the bottom that's going to show you all of these picks in real time. And for every team that comes up, the team needs are going to slide out so you know what TDN holds in regard as the biggest needs for this team when they are on the clock. You'll see best available boards scroll through as well. So all this information for you throughout the course of the show tonight. Guys, I think we waste no time. I think we get right into it. I think we do this thing. Keith, now listen. Kyle Krabs was sitting in that chair last week. You have all of his time from last week because he didn't use any of it. So all of his time carries over to this week for you because he didn't use a single second with any of his picks. You're on the clock. So Henry in the back room there, if we can start the clock, if we can get this rolling. Keith, whenever you have the full minute if you want it, if you want to talk us through your thought process, but you are on the clock with the Jacksonville Jaguars to kick off this live mock draft.
Okay, well, I already started minus 12 seconds because of Chris' intro right there. So I'm already behind the clock. But with this pick, I'm going to go with offensive tackle from NC State, Ikem Ekwunanu. I hope I pronounced that right. The Jaguars, they invested into the defensive front. They drafted Caleb Chase on. They drafted Josh Allen. On the offensive side of the ball, last year, they drafted Trevor Lawrence and running back from Clemson, Travis Etienne. Now I think it's time for them to protect their future and get tackle Ikem Ekwunanu. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get that right. I'm sorry about that. But I think he's a really good player. He'll provide protection for Trevor Lawrence, and hopefully they'll be able to get everything going in the right direction with this pick.
I'll tell you what, this was the betting favorite inside the back channels of TDN. We had a pre-show meeting in which Henry said I made a prediction. I have the graphic ready to go for the first overall pick because this was a discussion in a TDN staff meeting. I believe it was yesterday we had this meeting, and Keith was like, maybe I can make Ekwonu at one. What do we think? And he threw the idea out there, and I thought, okay, if he ends up getting the first overall pick, he might do this. And he has given the Jags their starting left tackle. He has gone a little bit different. This is not what we have seen in mocks so far this cycle. So, Keith, we've had Joe a couple of weeks ago when he did the mock, he started us off going outside the box, going Kayvon Thibodeau over Aiden Hutchinson. You've gone completely outside the box here with Ikem Ekwonu to start us off. So a lot of fun. Now the whole board is available here, so this should be a lot of fun to see the way this plays out. Damian, not sure you expected this to be the way things fell. You are the Detroit Lions. Both top pass rushers available to you. Go ahead, my friend. Go ahead.
Listen, I mean, of course, everyone knows, that pick threw me off just a little bit. But, looking at the team needs, you got quarterback, edge, and corner. There isn't a quarterback in this class that is worthy of a top 10 selection, in my opinion. So I am definitely going to give the fiery, great leader that Dan Campbell is a defensive end here. Now, it just depends on which one, right? So we have both of them on the board. Tough. I was hoping he would have picked one so it made my job a lot easier here. But I'm going to go with Kayvon Thibodeau, man. The athletic, just high potential, high ceiling, young pass rusher that can stand up on the edge, play with his hand in the dirt, speed to power, strong hands. Like he dealt with some injuries this year, but putting him in Detroit, I really love that for that defense, especially having Jeff Okudah come back, Amani Oruwariye, and those other young pieces in the secondary. hey, speed up some of these opposing quarterbacks' clocks and get some more turnovers. So let's go Kayvon.
I'll tell you what, guys. I've got the YouTube chat open. I wanted to see what their reaction was to Keith starting us off with some fire emojis, going off the board a little bit, going with a little bit of a different pick. And the fun thing about this is now we get to play out a scenario that isn't, maybe something that people thought about. What if the Jags don't go with one of the pass rushers at number one? What does that do to the rest of the board? Well, now it really forces a decision for Detroit, whereas before, in a lot of other mocks, they just get to pick whichever pass rusher doesn't get taken number one. Damian, you had to make a decision between the two, and you decided to go with Kayvon Thibodeau here. Keith, it's back to you. See, these things move quick. You're back on the clock. You made that spicy pick at number one. You set yourself up now? Can you keep? Can it be a spicy pick at number three? What do you got for us?
Oh man, it's always spicy, man. Chris is always spicy, baby. So with this pick, I'm gonna go with defensive end Aiden Hutchinson, and I want everybody to think about the Texans in the past, right? They've always drafted good edge rushers. When it comes down to Jadeveon Clowney, Mario Williams, and then when you even think about J.J. Watt, he's not an edge rusher, but he's a good defensive lineman. Aiden Hutchinson is a really good football player. He's a gritty guy. He's a throwback guy, and I think when you're just trying to turn a franchise around and you need some positivity, I think you bet on a guy with a very high floor, and that's Aiden Hutchinson. So I really like this pick. I think he provides some versatility up front, and he gets a locker room and a culture. He kind of gets it going back and gets it back together. So he's a glue guy for your locker room. So I'm really excited about this pick. If you're the Houston Texans, you take Aiden Hutchinson and you run with it.
Yeah, the way this board played out for Houston, they got to be thrilled to be able to hand the card into the commissioner and say, we'd like Aiden Hutchinson on our team for next season. That doesn't, no complaints here. All right, Damian, you get the fortunes of picking for both
Here we go.
New York Jets picks, okay? And you know I'm a Jets guy. You know the judgment's going to be real here. You have both picks 4 and picks 10 when we get there. So you get to start the New York Jets draft haul here. And actually, Keith gets to pick both Giants picks when they're up next. So that'll be fun as well. Floor is yours, Damian. The Jets here at number 4. You've seen the way this board is played out. The 2 pass rushers, none of them get to you here at 4. Where do the Jets go?
Man, Zach Wilson being that quarterback, and they have they have a very good defensive line that is coming of age. They just have to get some pieces healthy. And trust me, if Aiden or Kayvon slipped, that would have been my pick here. But the Mekhi Becton thing, with him having the injury this year, ended up missing the entire season, dealing with the weight issues, I'm going to go with, the offensive line. And I'm going to go Evan Neal, who is, in a lot of people's opinion, the top offensive tackle in this class. Athletic, physical, just a aggressive offensive lineman. He can move the pocket, move the line of scrimmage in the run game. He's going to protect your quarterback. He can get out in space with his quickness, his athleticism. I really like Evan Neal. I've been a fan of his for the past couple of seasons. But, man, 6'6", 350. If Mekhi Becton cannot get it together, then you have your backup. But if he can, and Morgan Moses does walk off in the free agency, you have a potential right tackle to keep Zach Wilson upright, because we saw late in the season that he was able to sling. We saw almost BYU Zach Wilson at times later in the season. Protect this young man, keep him upright, and let's let the good things roll.
All right. Listen, there's a different player that I would have selected here, but I can't fault you with trying to protect the franchise quarterback. So no complaints. Maybe the player that I wanted here at 4 gets to us at 10. I don't think that's going to happen, but maybe it works out that way. Again, we got Keith's picking on the other side. It could get. He told me spicy at all times, so you don't know. Maybe he does get there with pick number 10. Okay. Keith, we're not going far. We're staying in the same building. We're probably just going across the field to the other side where the other offices are located, and it's the New York Giants, who don't have a general manager, and they don't have a head coach while you're making this pick. So a little bit difficult to maybe understand what their identity as a football team moving forward is going to look like. But we know Daniel Jones, injured at the end of last year, didn't have that great of a season. This team's still trying to find themselves on both sides of the ball. They're going to have a new head coach, a new GM in place. One of their first 2 picks here. Where are we going?
Oh, man, first of all, I'm going to start by saying Damian absolutely stole my pick, right? So it's making it extremely difficult. So I'm in slice mode right now. But
welcome to live mocks. Welcome to live mocks. Always when you steal a pick, that's the best thing. So there you go.
Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go with LSU cornerback Derek Stingley. When all else fails, take the best player available. Everybody's going to talk about his injury history, but when you cut on the 2019 film, there was no other corner like him. So this guy can turn the ball over. He's a high character guy. He's an elite athlete, and I think if you want to have a good defense, you need a good lockdown corner. So right here, I'm going to go Derek Stingley, a great football player, and Giants hopefully get that thing turned around with Derek Stingley.
The first corner coming off the board, CB1 for us here in this mock draft, Derek Stingley Jr. Damian, it comes to you here now. The Carolina Panthers are making a pick, and I'm going to come and ask you a point-blank question here because this team's on the clock. We know they've been trying to figure out the quarterback situation. This is the most popular landing spot inside the top 10 for a quarterback. Are you going to do it? You were just talking before when you were making picks about there's not a quarterback that I would take. Well, here you go. This is a prime spot. Are you going to match the quarterback with the team, or are we not going that direction?
Since I'm drafting for Matt Rule, I want to take on his type of ideology. This team needs a quarterback. They don't have a true identity either. They also have issues with the offensive line. So that's a problem as well. But the top offensive linemen right now are not available since we've already selected them. So I am going to bite the bullet, even though I said that there isn't one that I would myself personally pick, but this is the landing spot. And I'm going to go with probably, a term that was used last year a lot, the most pro-ready quarterback. I'm going to go with Kenny Pickett here for the Carolina Panthers. They have weapons. They have Christian McCaffrey. They have Chuba Hubbard. They have a young Tommy Tremble. They have the weapons, right? So I'm assuming that in the free agency period that they can figure some things out and add some veteran pieces to this offensive line, but they need someone reliable to play the quarterback position. And Kenny Pickett, accurate, intelligent, mature, and he's perfect for the point. He was perfect to play the point guard for this offense. So I'm gonna go Kenny Pickett here. I would personally like to move back instead, but we can't do that.
Okay, so you didn't want to be in this spot. You wanted to drop back a couple spots, gain some more
picks. They only
have
one pick in the top 100, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right. The Jets own their second-round pick, and they've kind of given up some draft capital over the years. Listen, we've talked a lot about how probably the only team in front of them right now on the board that could potentially look at a quarterback is Houston. But Davis Mills played well at the end of the season. You certainly think that they're going to give him an opportunity to have a bit of a runway in 2022 to be the starter. So Carolina really feels like they're in a prime spot that unless a team jumps in front of them, they're going to be able to make their pick of the quarterback if they want to go that direction here at pick 6. Damian, you talk about some of the other things that they might want to accomplish. Friend of the show, who was on this show 2 weeks ago, Joe Marino, wrote a story over at thedraftnetwork.com kind of outlining what that plan in the offseason could look like for this team, what they could do in free agency to address the offensive line so that they maybe free up some different opportunities for them here with this pick. All right, Keith, you're back on the clock. You gave Derek Stingley to this Giants defense. Are you going to stay on the defensive side of the ball, or are we going to look to the offensive side of the ball?
I'm staying with defense. And with that being said, I'm going defensive end, George Karlaftis. When you think about the Giants' history, they've always had good edge rushers. When you go back all the way to Lawrence Taylor, then you go to Michael Strahan, you go to Justin Tepp, you go to O.C. Umenyiora, they've always had good edge rushers. So I think George Karlaftis, you draft him, you start to turn this thing around. He's a really good player. He's he's tough and gritty. Like on the defensive line, he can rush the quarterback. So I think he's a really good player, and I think he's a guy that the Giants should be happy to get. I like this guy a lot right here.
Yeah, and for a team that is trying to change their identity, like we mentioned, they're going to get a new head coach and a new general manager, and they're going to want to make their imprints on this roster. Derek Stingley and George Karlaftis. That's not a bad place to start when you're trying to make an impact in your first year as both the head coach and the GM, whatever that power structure looks like there in New York. Okay, Damian, a team that probably should have been in the quarterback market last year in the draft. They were not. They decided to roll the dice. They stayed with Matt Ryan. Kyle Pitts was their first-round pick. Not really in a situation where I think a quarterback is something that they're going to evaluate here at number 8. So now, with that being said, what are you doing here?
So, yeah, they're with, Matt Ryan for, I believe, next 2 years. And just looking at their needs, edge, interior D-line, safety, they have a need at corner as well. And then looking at the board, it's tough, right? So I don't know how far can Kyle Hamilton fall here. Not far enough. I'm going to pick Kyle Hamilton, and I'm going to add him to this defense. Let's make this defense better. Let's get better in the back end. You're playing against, Sean Payton and the Saints. You're dealing with Tom Brady over in Tampa Bay. Let's get a rangy, just versatile athlete that's a game changer. Give me Kyle Hamilton, man, one of the best, literally top 5 prospects, not just defense, just overall. Let's make an impact in the secondary. You have AJ Terrell. Let's give him a safety net back there because technically he can play by himself on the edge. So then it allows you to do different things with Kyle Hamilton, double team on the opposite side of Terrell. I just really like the ability of Kyle Hamilton being able to change plays for this defense.
See, Damian, this is the guy you should have taken it for the New York Jets. I knew he wasn't going to get there. I knew he wasn't going to get to 10. And I gave myself hope because a couple of picks went by. Keith took 2 defensive players for the Giants, didn't take Kyle Hamilton. I'm like, oh, maybe the dream's alive. Nope, didn't happen. So you should have taken him at 4. Not going to get there at 10. Fantastic. This is one of the best defensive players.
That's spoken like a true Jets fan, right?
Yes. Spoken like a true Jets fan.
I wear my heart on my sleeve, boys. Okay, this is, I wanted him before he didn't get there, but a great pick, right? I mean, this is a guy that we view at TDN in high regard in terms of one of the best overall prospects in this class. And you mentioned it, Damian. When does the slide stop for Kyle Hamilton? Because there is an argument that this is a top 5, top 4, potentially top 2 player in this year's class. So you add talent to that Atlanta defense. Okay, Keith, the Denver Broncos are on the clock, and in this scenario, They haven't solved their quarterback situation, right? We're doing this mock draft on January 20th. Aaron Rodgers has not been traded to the Denver Broncos. They have not acquired a quarterback via free agency or any of the other trade opportunities that could be there. So are you going quarterback or are we keeping this train moving with you taking defensive players?
Oh, man. So I know Broncos fans, they want to see a quarterback drafted here, right? But I don't feel comfortable enough with a franchise quarterback here. And I also want to get into the free agent market for a quarterback. So what do? I draft a quarterback's best friend. And that's not a running back. That's not a defense. That's an offensive lineman. So I'm going to go offensive lineman Kenyon Green right here. When you think about Tampa Bay and they were able to help Tom Brady out, they drafted right tackle Tristan Wirfs. So I'm going to draft offensive lineman Kenyon Green. So that way I have a recruiting tool essentially. And I can say, hey, man, look, we got this big boy up front and he can block for you. He can protect you because whoever you bring in, whether it's Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, they're going to want to know that they're protected up front, and this guy gets after it. He can play all from left tackle all the way to right tackle. Uh-oh, what was that, Chris?
Protecting whoever that next quarterback is going to be. Kenyon Green, a great pick, a great addition to the Denver Broncos. All right, Damian. The Jets are on the clock. You've broken my heart. There's no opportunity. There's no scenario in which I get the player that I wanted it for. But you can attempt to make it up to me here by picking a player here at 10. I will hand the floor over to you. You have the full minute to convince me on what we're doing here with the 10th overall pick. This is a we thing now, Damian. These 2 picks, this is not just a you. It's a we thing. Okay?
Listen, and I'm sorry I disappointed you, but I'm going to do my best to rectify that. Looking at this team, right? Looking at this defensive line. Again, in this division, typically in the draft, you draft to win your division. You have Josh Allen, you dealing with Mac Jones, Tua for however long he's there. The other thing that they need is an opposite pass rusher from healthy Carl Lawson when he does return. And the next guy that's up on my board that is on the edge is David Ojabo from Michigan. I want to add that athletic, just explosive, long-rangey pass rusher, a guy that can come in, even if you don't play him early on, because of his rawness in the run game, that's fine. But you bring him in on those passing situations and you allow him to pin his ears back, that raw athleticism, that raw twitch, come off the ball and get after these pass rushers. You want to be able to rush Josh Allen with 4 and drop everyone else back, make these throwing lanes tight. I think David Ojabo, again, with a healthy Carl Lawson and Quinnen Williams and company, they can do this.
All right, Damian, we're good. You and I are good. It's a good pick. I like getting some help for the defensive side of the ball, getting some pass rushers. Okay, we're good. You and I are fine. And now you're done. The Jets are done for the night, so you're good. You and I will be on the same page. Okay, Keith, you're getting the quarterback landing spots here with the last couple picks that you've had. You chose against it with Denver. Now you got Henry's team, producer Henry, Washington football team. He told you in the pre-show, please make a good pick for my team. Here you go with pick number 11. Looks like we're having some trouble hearing Keith here for just a second. So, Damian, if you want to talk about what you would do with this.
Am I in?
You're good.
Back in.
You're
Hey,
good.
I made a mistake.
Listen, you're a
sorry
rookie.
about
You
that.
muted yourself. It's okay. We'll give you. That's the only one you get, though. That's the only one you get.
Okay, that was my mulligan right there. So, like I was saying, I have a lot of pressure on me to fulfill King Henry's wishes. So, with this pick, I'm going to take quarterback Malik Willis. Right, I'm going to take an explosive, dynamic quarterback that the Washington football team hasn't had since RG3. Now, hopefully, the head coach treats him right, and there's no knee injuries involved in this, and the Washington football team has their franchise quarterback for the future. So, right here, I'm going to take quarterback Malik Willis, an explosive, dynamic playmaker at quarterback.
So here we go. A quarterback coming off the board here in Malik Willis for the Washington football team. And that gives us now our second quarterback off the board. Kenny Pickett goes 6 to the Carolina Panthers. Malik Willis going 11 here to the Washington football team. And we'll see how many quarterbacks ultimately end up in the first round of our mock draft. Damian's back to you. Pick number 12, the Minnesota Vikings. You're on the clock. 1 minute to make your selection.
Yeah, I'm going to fix this secondary. I'm on kind of a defensive swing here, and I got to go with the next available cornerback. That's Andrew Booth Jr. from Clemson, a versatile pass defender. He can play man, he plays zone. He's twitchy, aggressive. He comes in and triggers downhill in the run game. He's a force player off the edge. He's someone that will ingratiate himself with this city and with this team. They need to be able to cover. We don't know what's going to happen with Devontae Adams, but you need to be able to cover him. You need someone that you can rely on in these situations. Andrew Booth Jr. is that type of cover corner that I feel comfortable, especially from his ceiling, and not even just ceiling, but his floor. He's got everything for me, and I think he's like my second-rated corner. So I got to go with Andrew Booth Jr. here.
So the number 2 corner coming off the board here in Andrew Booth Jr. And again, you always want to build having that shutdown corner in your secondary, and this gives the Vikings that piece to build around. Keith, the Cleveland Browns have been a big topic of conversation in our TDN daily meetings. We've talked about them a lot as a staff. We've talked about what they could potentially do this offseason. Well, here they are with a chance to build around Baker Mayfield, this offense that was underperformed a little bit last year. What direction do you feel that you want to go in here with pick number 13?
Right. So I heard you use the phrase build around Baker Mayfield, right? So we're not building around Baker Mayfield. We're putting the pressure on Baker Mayfield. We're drafting quarterback from Cincinnati, Desmond Ridder. That's the splash pick of the draft right there. We're going to put pressure on Baker Mayfield. He hasn't lived up to the hype. And I know everybody's attached to Baker Mayfield, him turning around the Cleveland Browns. But I think Desmond Ridder has a good story also. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio. He's been the first group of 5 team to bring the team to the playoffs. And he's a high character kid. He's good mobility, so he can run the football also. And he's just a flat out winner at the end of the day. So I think the Cleveland Browns will be excited. I'm putting the pressure, I'm putting the heat on Baker Mayfield. It's time to put up or shut up, basically.
I'm stunned. I'm in disbelief. We had a spicy pick at number 1, and we've gone spicy here at number 13. Keith promised. He promised earlier in the show that he was going to deliver the spice, and he has. He has delivered the spice. Desmond Ridder. Listen, a quarterback that I like in this draft class. So you've got me signing off on this. But this is the type of guy that I think, Keith, to your point, can put the pressure on Baker Mayfield if they want to go this direction, because they're going to have to make this decision this offseason if they are going to approach him about a contract extension, if they believe that Baker's a guy they want to build around, or if they don't want to do that and they want to bring in, like you did, a quarterback like Desmond Ridder to put all the pressure in the world on Baker Mayfield in order to, put up or shut up, get this team into a position where they can win a couple playoff games. All right, Damian, I saw you looking off screen, figuring out what you want to do here. So I bought you a little time here as you pick for another team in the AFC North. The Baltimore Ravens missed the playoffs this year, had some injuries late in the season, were without Lamar Jackson. This is a team that everyone feels is still in that window to compete in the AFC and to go deep into the playoffs. So what player are you going to add to this group?
Man, I was looking in the trenches, in D-line, edge, offensive line. Offensive line struggled this year. And even when Lamar was there, they needed to protect him better. And I want to bring someone, I always look at this guy reminds me of he fits this team. And I may be kind of high for him, don't kill me, guys. But I'm going Trevor Penning offensive tackle from Northern Iowa, just a physical, nasty, gritty offensive lineman. This is a team that wants to run the ball and run it with just that physicality, right? They will be getting their top running backs healthy again. So then bringing back those guys, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, bringing back a healthy Lamar Jackson, put Trevor Penning opposite of Ronnie Stanley. Now you have two bookend tackles that gives Lamar that type of confidence when he drops back in the pocket off of the play action game. And again, Trevor Penning, that nasty physical attitude and play style fits very well in Baltimore.
Man, what a pick. A pick that would certainly help protect Lamar Jackson and help them fit what they do as a team in terms of running the football. Now, Keith, I do have to let you know, I was looking at the chat here while Damian was making that pick of Trevor Penning to the Baltimore Ravens, and you were on the clock with the Philadelphia Eagles. It is official. You've been given the nickname Keith Spicy Sanchez. The chat has taken it and they have run with it, okay? You just made picks left and right.
I like it. I can't believe I never heard that in my life. I'm rolling with it. I like the spicy Sanchez, baby.
I'm just letting you know they are loving what you are bringing to the table. So you're gonna have to keep the spice rolling here. The Philadelphia Eagles. This is one of 3 first-round picks that we are going to make for them. This pick at 15. Damian, you're up next with them at 16. Then I think they pick again at 19 in the current makeup of the first round of the mock draft. Keith, this is a team that went to the playoffs this year, albeit not going out. They went out in a blaze of glory with the way that they played in that game against Tampa Bay. But this is a team led by Jalen Hurts at the quarterback position that made the playoffs, surprised a lot of people, won 9 football games, and they get 3 first-round picks to infuse talent to this team. Which direction do you want to go?
Yeah, man. I think at the end of the day for the Philadelphia Eagles, they outplayed expectations at the end of the day. I think that they found a quarterback in Jalen Hurts, so you have to feel really good about that. And then they went to the playoffs. In those playoffs, they got boat raced at the end of the day, and that's because the Tampa Bay Bucks were just a better football team. At the end of the day, the NFL is about dudes. You need dudes on your football team. So right here, I'm going to go back into the wide receiver bucket for the Eagles again, and I'm going to get wide receiver Jameson Williams, an absolute playmaker. He gives Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, another dynamic playmaker to throw the football to, and he relieves some pressure from their first round receiver from last year. So I like this pick. I love this pick. And I think the Eagles just need dudes at the end of the day. They show that they're a tough, gritty football team. Let's go get some playmakers and let's roll.
Think about what a luxury it is for this Philadelphia Eagles team to feel confident, and how could they not feel confident in their quarterback position? And I now notice that producer Henry worked very quickly to add Keith Spicy Sanchez to the graphic there. He's working overtime today. But to have those 3 first-round picks and don't feel a need to take a quarterback. Don't feel a need to take 2 of those picks and try to trade up for a quarterback. When they made all those moves and they acquired all these picks, you certainly felt that they were gearing up to, if Jalen Hurts didn't work out, that they could take those picks to acquire a quarterback. Now when you don't have to do that and you can infuse, young talent, 3 first-round picks to this team, man, that certainly feels really good. Damian, you get to add to this draft haul. They add Jameson Williams. They add a wide receiver for Jalen Hurts. You are on the clock here with the Philadelphia Eagles with pick number 16.
Well, I've been on the defensive side of the ball for a good portion of this draft. And one thing about it with this team, you go back to that Super Bowl run, they had such a plethora and just an abundance of defensive line talent. And right now, I'm going to keep that going. I'm going to add something to that. Trayvon Walker. I'm going to add Trayvon Walker, 6'5", 275 from Georgia. Just a fantastic edge defender, physical, strong, heavy hands, good athlete for his size as well. He can rush from the outside and inside. He can move around however you see fit. And when you think about, I think, Derek Barnett, who's been the starter for a while, off and on, he's been solid, right? He was a first rounder himself. But let's go ahead and get an upgrade. Trayvon Walker, he's going to give that, because that city aggressive. We know that, right? They're one of the most aggressive fan bases in the National Football League. Let's give him a player that meets that expectation and meets that type of attitude. Let's give him Trayvon Walker.
So, guys, we're at pick 16. We're halfway through. How are we feeling? We feeling good? Do we feel first live mock? We feel good? 16 picks in?
Yeah.
I'm feeling good, man. I got me a new nickname. I have to tell my girlfriend about it. I'm Keith Spicy Sanchez now, baby.
All right, Keith Spicy Sanchez, you are up here with pick number 17 for the Los Angeles Chargers. Another playoff team, we're reaching this point where we're talking about a non-playoff team almost made the playoffs. We're talking about these teams that were very close. We talked about this with Baltimore. We talked about it with LA. We'll talk about it with the next team in the New Orleans Saints. They got the quarterback situation figured out. Justin Herbert, he's that dude. Got to surround him with talent and be able to take him to that next level, take this team to the next level. Keith, you were on the clock.
Yeah, man, you hit it right on the head, surrounding Justin Herbert with even more talent. And I'm right here, I'm going to give him wide receiver from Ohio State, Chris Olave. I know that they have Keenan Allen. I know that they have Mike Williams, but those guys are injury prone and at times they're unreliable. And I know Chargers fans seen it this year that it literally comes down to one game. And you need healthy players the whole season. So right here, I take wide receiver Chris Olave. Now you have a three-headed monster in the wide receiver core, and they can really move this thing forward. It's another young receiver that he can kind of build a rapport with Justin Herbert, and I'm excited about this pick. He's a smooth guy, he's a short-handed guy, and he's an absolute playmaker.
Mike Williams, a free agent, I believe, at the end of this season, so no guarantee that they bring him back to Keith. So you certainly feel Josh Palmer kind of emerged late in the season for them as a wide receiver, but you always want to have, listen, just ask Cincinnati and Joe Burrow. You can never have enough wide receivers. They got a lot of pass catchers that do wonders for their quarterback. So a great pick here to add to that talent surrounding the Los Angeles Chargers. There was a bit of a push in the chat for Drake London here. I will let you know there were a couple of people that said Drake London. Drake London's name has been kind of thrown around a little bit here, but you went with Chris Olave. I don't think anybody can complain about that. All right, Damian, the New Orleans Saints found themselves almost in the playoffs this year despite all of the quarterback problems that they have. We know, because we've talked about it a lot, the cap situation that this team finds themselves in. That roster is not going to look the same that it did when it ended the season. They are going to have a lot of positions of need. They're going to have a roster that is going to look drastically different. So which player here in the first round of the mock draft are they going to add to that overhauled roster?
Man, I want to say that they're going to try their best to bring back Jameis Winston, who's playing good football for them, efficient, smart, turnover-free type of football. And with that being said, if you're going to bring him back, let's give him some toys. Let's give him a toy here. And I want to go with Treylon Burks from Arkansas, wide receiver. I think you add him, especially if Michael Thomas returns and he's with this team, Callaway, you already have Kamara in the backfield and Mark Ingram. You add Treylon Burks, that run after catch, just big body, physical, and then he has that long speed. Once he hits that top speed, you're not catching him, right? We've seen him pull away from SEC DBs all the season this year. So add Treylon Burks, a high impact, and then a high impact player, but a guy that you also can throw the ball downfield to. He's great in the air, great hands, attacks the ball in flight. I really love his skill set. I think Jameis have fun with him.
3 receivers out of the last 4 picks for you guys. Jameson Williams to the Eagles, Chris Olave to the Chargers, and now Treylon Burks to the Saints. 3 of the last 4 picks, playmaker, wide receivers for their respective teams and their respective quarterbacks. Or pick 19, the third first-round pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. They took Jameson Williams, one of those wide receivers we just mentioned, and they added Trayvon Walker. Keith, you get to add another pick here for this Philadelphia Eagles first-round haul.
Yeah, so I've developed a nickname, Keith Spicy Sanchez, but I'm going to be honest. I think that this guy has an even better nickname, Ahmad Sauce Garner. That's who I'm rolling with, baby. Like I said, man, the Eagles need playmakers on the outside, and so that's what Ahmad Sauce Garner is. You've seen this guy line up against Alabama, and did he dominate the game? No, but he definitely held his own against some of the top talent. This guy is 6'1". He's probably going to run a 4.4. He has exceptional length, so he's really good football player. And in the NFC East, you have to cover wide receivers like Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. So I think this is a really good football player, and like I said, man, Sauce Gardner.
I shouldn't have been shocked that Keith steered into his nickname by adding a player with an also great nickname in Sauce Gardner. So we shouldn't have been surprised, everybody, that once we gave Keith the nickname that he was going to go all in and do that for the Philadelphia Eagles. But hey, listen, Ahmad Gardner is one of those guys, one of those corners in this class, guys, that could very easily go a lot higher than this, depending on how teams value his skill set. Or he could fall right into this range. You could see it going either way, depending on where he's viewed in this class. And he's going to have an opportunity here to, combine all these, pre-draft process to maybe move himself up some teams' respective boards. All right, Damian, the Pittsburgh Steelers. This was a playoff team. This team did make the playoffs, despite bowing out graciously with the way that they played with their quarterback. This is another trendy spot for a quarterback. We've only had 3 come off the board so far. So no Kenny Pickett, no Malik Willis, no Desmond Ridder when you make this pick when you're on the clock. Do you force it here? Do you give them a quarterback because we know that they need one? Or are you just going to go best player available and try to just give this team some talent?
Man, like, I really wish the quarterback, one of those guys, were here, because I don't really feel comfortable with the other guys here in the first round per se. But one thing they also need is offensive line help. Big Ben. Man, this is tough.
Now, Damian,
But
I don't want to influence you here. I don't want to influence you, but there is momentum in the chat for a certain player. I'm just going to be real with you. There is momentum.
The pressure's on. The pressure is on.
The train is leaving the station for this guy.
Man, quarterback?
It's not a quarterback. No, it is not a quarterback.
Okay, good. Because I was like, I'm going to let you guys down, but I'm going to. Man, you know what? Looking at this team, I am going to go with. They were the worst run defense in football last year. Gave up 145, 46 yards rushing the game. Let's fix that. I know Stephon 2 is coming back, but let's fix that with Jordan Davis. I want to add Jordan Davis to this defense. Let's get back to the steel curtain. Let's stop stop the run game, stop the bleeding, and force teams to throw. And you have a guy on the edge that had 22 sacks this year, 22 and a half. Yeah, let's give him more opportunities against the pass. Let's go Jordan Davis to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I don't know the reaction to the pick. This is not the pick that had left the station and the momentum was rolling. They wanted Tyler Linderbaum. That is what they wanted. They were pushing for you to go offensive line, and you talked about it. I thought maybe you were going to consider it, but then you flipped on me. You went defense. You went a different direction.
I'm just trying to embody the same spiciness as my guy Keith here. You know,
I don't know. I think that's a level that we all wish to attain. That I don't know if we're going to be able to keep up with. All right, Keith, the New England Patriots. Talk about a team that doesn't do anything spicy in the first round. A very boring team when it comes to their first round picks. What are you going to do here for the New England Patriots?
Agree, man. So the New England Patriots are coming off just losing about 30, 40-point loss in the playoffs, one of the most embarrassing losses for Bill Belichick. I think we've seen the emergence of Mac Jones. He seemed to be a pretty good football player. But I think at the end of the day, I think they're another team that just simply doesn't have the playmakers on the outside. They have pretty good tight end in Hunter Henry. Jonnu Smith I guess he's been disappointing, especially for his contract situation. But on the outside, they don't have those dynamic playmakers. So right here, I'm going to go wide receiver, Penn State, Jahan Dotson.
A wide receiver, another wide receiver coming off the boards here in the first round of this draft class. And yeah, if you believe in your quarterback, right? We talked about it with the Chargers and Justin Herbert. It's a little different for Mac Jones entering year 2. But if you believe in your guy, surround him with talent. And the pass catchers there in New England, it was a priority for them in the offseason. Don't know if they necessarily got everything they wanted out of those playmakers that they brought in, and they use a first-round pick here in Jahan Dotson for their young quarterback. Don't know the coach of this next team. Don't know the GM of this next team. The Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock here at pick number 22 for you, Damian.
I am going to. Yeah, it's tough because without the coach and a GM, you don't know what their identity will be. We don't know if they're going to keep the same quarterback. We're not too sure. But what I am sure of is that I want to address, again, the interior defensive line, even for them as well. And again, I'm going one of the best players in this draft. That's DeMarvin Leal. From Texas A&M, a versatile guy that can move inside the 3-tech. He can play on the outside if you're running a specific defense, a 3-4. He can play the 5-tech. He's strong, athletic, has a nasty, quick spin move when he's rushing the passer, and he gives whatever defensive coordinator and coach that will be for the Las Vegas Raiders. He gives them a movable piece on the D line, and I really like him. I actually couldn't believe he was falling this far, but I had to go with the best player available.
Yeah, there were a couple of players like that, Damian, that as I watch you guys go back and forth and make picks, I go, man, this guy's still on the board. That guy's still on the board. There's some value to be had here late in the first round for a lot of these teams, and DeMarvin Leal, one of those players. Keith, the Arizona Cardinals, pick number 23. a team that did not end the season the way they wanted to. 1-4 down the stretch their last 5 games. Their exit the way that they did against the Los Angeles Rams, a team that is bought into this offense with Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray. They have spent the last 2 years in the first round going with linebackers, Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons. I would recommend not going that direction here with this pick, Keith. I don't think you're going to, but I'm just giving you some friendly advice here as you make a pick for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I can promise you I'm not going with a linebacker right here.
Okay. All
right. All right. But what I am going to go with is not a position that's very sexy, but I think it's a position that revealed itself in a game against the Rams. And Aaron Donald once again had a dominant game on the interior defensive line. So I'm going to go with Tyler Linderbaum right here. The Cardinals need some physicality. When they couldn't run the football, they became a one-dimensional team, and then the Rams were able to just peel their ears back and get after the quarterback. So I think in order for the Cardinals to really take their next step, they're going to have to be able to run the football. And I think players like Tyler Baum helps you. They bring that physical identity. So while this isn't a sexy pick, this isn't a spicy pick, it's the perfect pick for the Cardinals right here.
Keith, what I want you to do is I want you to just listen really closely just for a second, okay? And I want you to hear, because that sound that you hear is our guy Mario in the YouTube chat, who was putting the prayer emoji out there. He was looking for Tyler Linderbaum to fall to the Dallas Cowboys, and you just broke this man's heart by taking him right in front with the Arizona Cardinals. So yeah, I just saw it come through. You ruined his day. Okay, so there you go.
Me. That was going to be my pick too. That was going to be my pick for Dallas.
You have the full minute here with pick number 24, Damian, to regroup here now that your pick has been stolen by Keith. I think are you guys even now? You've each stolen a pick from each other here throughout the course of the show, so you guys are even now.
I had to get
as we enter the last couple picks here.
Looking at this team, and one of the main issues for the Dallas Cowboys, to me, was the opposite corner from Trayvon Diggs. Anthony Brown struggled mightily this year, and we need to fix that, right? We need to fix the secondary. Let's especially in that division where you do have some talented receivers, and just for a team that possibly does win the division again and get back into the playoffs, you want to be able to stop these opposing offenses, especially opposite of your star corner. And let's go with Roger McCreary from Auburn. Let's give them and I really love this guy. Man cover corner, gives that soft shoe mirroring technique, confident kid. It doesn't matter who he's going up against, height, weight, size, speed. It doesn't matter. He's gritty. He's tough. He's got that moxie and that cockiness to him, and you need that to play cornerback. And I think he'll be a great addition to this secondary. Now you have 2 corners that you can truly trust and believe in.
I will use this opportunity now to a little cheap plug for the Draft Dudes podcast. They talked with Roger McCreary. We had an interview with him that dropped today on the podcast feed. So any of the Dallas Cowboys fans out there that are watching the mock draft that just saw Roger McCreary get drafted, or at least in this mock draft to your team, and you want to hear from Roger himself talk about his journey at Auburn, getting ready for the NFL draft, a cheap plug for the Draft Dudes podcast in which they talked to him today on the show. Listen, Damian, the Cowboys fans were upset that they didn't get Tyler Linderbaum. You saved them. They're very happy about the Roger McCreary pick. You've turned things around. So you made up for Keith, poking the bear a little bit by taking their guy. Cincinnati Bengals, Keith, Joe Burrow, still in the playoffs here. So they're still trying to march on. They're still trying to make a run for the Super Bowl, but you're going to make a pick for them here to build for their long-term future with Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor there in Cincinnati. I can hear the boss. I can hear Paige. Offensive line. The chat's probably going to push for that as well. So I'll just give you that information before you make this pick here.
So I do like my job at the Draft Network, but the first thing I did was I scanned to see if there was another LSU Tiger to pair with quarterback Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but there wasn't. I didn't feel comfortable with taking anybody right here, so I am going to go offensive lineman. I'm going to go Charles Cross, who's a great athlete. He has really good feet. He'd be able to protect Joe Burrow blindside. Joe Burrow has torched guys this year, and it's been with one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL football this year, period. So I go with Charles Cross. I think he's a really good football player, and I think they start to build the line up front and give Joe Burrow more protection.
Yeah, there had been a lot of conversation in the chat about where Charles Cross would go. I'm just, I'm just here to just be the voice of the people who are talking to you guys in real time. There had been a lot of conversation about Charles Cross, and again, Cincinnati has that need on the offensive line. They chose to go in a different direction last year, not taking Penei Sewell, instead taking Jamar Chase, and then you have Charles Cross, one of the top offensive line prospects in this class, fall all the way to you here at 25. You didn't have to go up and get him; he got to you here at 25 with the way this board played out. I think this is a home run for Cincinnati. Damian, Miami Dolphins here, pick number 26. We're getting down to it here. Last couple picks here in the live mock draft here. The Miami Dolphins, they have the same GM. Chris Grier still making the picks there in Miami, but a new coach coming in here for the Miami Dolphins, and you get to make this pick for them.
Well, of course, all the reports that they're all in on Tua, and I'm drafting off the assumption that they're going to take the money that they have, that $76 million or so, to address this offensive line, address the trenches, build a wall in front of him with some veteran pieces to give some competition to the young guys that they've drafted and underdeveloped. But with that being said, they have Jalen Waddle. They have Hunter Long and Mike Gesicki and a few other pieces on offense, but this receiving core needs a facelift. It needs a upgrade. Let's give it Drake London over from USC, that big body, just incredible catch radius to give to that guy that can get downfield, and you truly just trust throwing it up to him, right? Sometimes, like basketball, every point guard has that one player on their roster that they don't care who's under the rim. I'm throwing the lob. I'm throwing that alley-oop. And Drake London is one of those guys. He has elite ball skills, great body control, contact balance while in the air. I love Drake London and what he can do for Tua, and he pairs well with Jalen Waddle as also. So let's go Drake London here, guys.
All right. See, chat. See, Drake London's going to come off the board in the first round. You guys have been, every time we've talked about a wide receiver, Drake London. Easy. There's 32 picks in the first round for a reason. We'll get there. We'll get Drake London off the board. What's our fifth, sixth wide receiver that we've taken here in the first round, guys, of this draft? There have been a lot of selections giving young quarterbacks more weapons in this offense. All right, Keith, the Buffalo Bills on the clock here with pick number 27.
Yeah, Damian got me again. He got me again. That's the one I had queued up.
Oh, no.
He got me again. He got me. But it's okay. I had a quick pivot. So I'm going to think about the Buffalo Bills and their team needs, right? Tre'Davious Wright just came off an ACL injury, and I know that they can use help in their secondary. So I'm going to go cornerback from Florida, Kaiir Elam, right here. Just a guy who has very great lineage in the NFL. His father played in the NFL. His cousin has played in the NFL. So this is a guy that comes in. He's going to be pro ready. He's a great technician. Really good ball skills, good tackler, and I think he fits the Buffalo mantra. Like I said, he has family that's played in the NFL, so he knows how to come in and be a pro. He fits exactly what the Buffalo Bills are doing. So cornerback Kaiir Elam right here.
Guys, we've made it last 5 picks for us here on this live mock draft. And for those of you still hanging out with us on Twitter and YouTube, appreciate you hanging out, having some fun with us here on a Thursday night. Damian, the Detroit Lions are on the clock here. This is a team that all the way back, you have to remember, way earlier in the show when they had the number 2 pick, you took Kayvon Thibodeau for this football team. You made this selection earlier. You now get to make their second selection here with pick number 28. The floor is yours.
I'm going to go wide receiver Garrett Wilson from Ohio State. They drafted Monroe St. Brown late, and he was a great addition to that offense. Incredible into the season, down the stretch. Let's give him a running mate, and let's continue to add to this offense that has DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jared Goff has been solid for them. Give him another year, and then, like I said, you can attack quarterback again when you see fit. But let's build up this receiving core, and let's give this offense more talent. Garrett Wilson, an explosive route runner. He has he does have some concentration drops at times, but he has elite ball skills. For a smaller receiver, he can climb the ladder. One of the best receivers in this class. I'm surprised he fell this far. So let's add Garrett Wilson to that offensive weaponry over in Detroit.
The 6th wide receiver that we have taken, and I say we, that you guys have taken here during this live mock draft, that is the 6th wide receiver off the board. And Garrett Wilson, one of those guys that, depending on who you talk to, some have all the way up as wide receiver 2. One of the top receivers in this class, he falls all the way to wide receiver 6 and gets paired. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Garrett Wilson, not a bad top 2 wide receivers to have in your room to build around with whatever young quarterback Detroit ultimately decides to bring in, whether this year or next year. All right, Keith, pick number 29, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, man. So the Chiefs started off really rocky on the defensive side of the ball, but they started to turn that thing around. And while they're not playing great, they're playing pretty good defense. But I think that's a product of the system. And one person that seems like he's continually still frustrated is the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. So with this pick, I'm going to give him a running mate and safety, Jaquan Brisker. Right here, he's athletic safety, and what he'll do is he'll free up some space for Tyrann Mathieu, so that way he can play free safety and he can come into the box and be the versatile defender that he wants to be. So the NFL is about dudes. Jaquan Brisker is an athletic guy; he can make plays, and he's a versatile defender. So I really like Jaquan Brisker going to the Chiefs right here.
Adding to that Chiefs defense, that has been their saving grace this season. When the offense was struggling in the early part of the season, the defense kind of holding it together for them. And now offensive Patrick Mahomes getting back, and now you've added a young piece to that defense. The defending Super Bowl champs, Damian, here with pick number 30, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They ran it back last year. This has been a big talking point. And we're probably not going to be able to run it back again this year. Chris Godwin, a free agent, Leonard Fournette. They got all these guys that they got to potentially bring back, and they were able to do it last year. Doesn't feel like they're going to be able to do it this year, so they're going to have to use this pick to be able to kind of reinfuse this window that they have with Tom Brady.
Correct. And like you said, a lot of guys that are going to be free agents. I believe Ronald Jones should be a free agent as well. So that kind of leaves a hole at running back. I know they got Keyshawn Vaughn, and he's been solid, right? But I mean, hey, let's give them a explosive running back. Let's give them Kenneth Walker III out of Michigan State. Let's give them a running back that can really tote the rock for this offense, and not just a guy that's going to run with power, but he has the speed to get into open field and take it the distance. He's functional in the passing game and the screen game as an outlet as well. He's not going to drop a lot of passes like some of the other guys that Tom Brady's been dealing with over there in Tampa. If Fournette and Ronald Jones don't return, now you have yourself a true bona fide starting running back. Like I said, I like juice. I like physicality. Let's give him Kenneth Walker.
I'll tell you what. Let's hope our friend Joe Marino is not hanging out in the chat anywhere, because he is not getting first-round running backs. That's going to start a bit of an argument here at the staff meeting tomorrow.
Damian gets a nickname for that one. Damian gets a nickname for that one.
And listen, we talk about this. We talk about this every year, right? And it seems to, in recent years, become more of a popular thing of, will a running back go in the first round? And if so, how many will go in the first round? The positional value has sort of changed over the years, and you don't see it as much. Obviously, Najee Harris in the first round last year. And here we go. We got all the way to pick 30, and there's where our first running back came off the board. And I don't really know a whole lot of teams in front that would consider a running back here in this spot. So the chances of getting that first-round running back are few and far between here in the first round. Tampa is the team that does it with pick number 30 with Kenneth Walker III. Tennessee Titans, as we get to the last 2 picks here on the show, guys. Keith, the Tennessee Titans, this is your last pick. It's the last pick you're making here on the mock draft. You've been spicy all night with these picks. Are you leaving us with one more spicy pick before we get out of here?
Nah, man. You have to be spicy, but at times you have to be smart, man. You have to play the board, you have to analyze, and you have to watch the film. So right here, I'm going to make the correct pick, and I'm going to go with linebacker from Utah, Devin Lloyd. This is the pound for pound, maybe the most physical player in the NFL draft this year. He's a guy that head coach Mike Vrabel, who's a former linebacker, he will definitely appreciate. This guy that can play inside linebacker, and he can rush the edge a little bit. Like I said, he's a down here thumper, and he fits with the Titans with their mantra, what they have developed as a culture. So I'm going to go linebacker Devin Lloyd right here to control the middle, to man the middle for the Tennessee Titans.
I'll tell you what, Keith, I've been keeping an eye on the top available board that I've got working here as I'm keeping track of the picks. And Devin Lloyd's one of those names I kept circling, and I'm like, okay, this team makes sense for Devin Lloyd. This team makes sense for Devin Lloyd. And we just kept going and kept going and kept going. We got all the way here. I wasn't sure if he was going to fall out of the first round. A very talented player added to that Tennessee defense. So you didn't leave us with Devin Lloyd hanging out there for the imaginary round 2 of this live mock draft. All right, Damian, you close us out here. The Green Bay Packers, pick 32, the last pick here of our live mock draft. You don't know. Aaron Rodgers, technically, I think, is the quarterback in this scenario that you have to play out here. But if not, you got Jordan Love as the quarterback. So go ahead, add to this Green Bay team however you'd like to do it.
Man, looking at this Green Bay team, well, you know, we don't know what's going to happen with Rodgers, but I could not allow my guy to fall out of the first round. Nakobe Dean from Georgia. I want to add Nakobe Dean to this defense. Just an explosive athlete, a guy that can get sideline to sideline, who's an incredible blitzer between the A and B gaps, gives you that cross dog type of blitz. He can drop in coverage. He gives them just a legit weapon at the linebacker position. I know a lot will be talked about this offseason, this draft season, about his measurements, right? But at the same time, this guy's a playmaker, and he's a player. And the Green Bay's front seven, which is talented as well, I just want to inject some more playmaking ability there so they can become even more of a great defense, especially if Jordan Love is the quarterback next year. You want to be able to hold some teams underneath that 20-point-per-game landmark. So let's go with Nakobe Dean here.
Another player that the chat was talking about, I had circled of, man, is this guy really going to fall out of the first round in this mock draft? And as we got closer and closer, I thought, maybe it was going to be the case. But with the last two picks, Devin Lloyd and Nakobe Dean coming off the board here. That's it, guys. We're done here. First live mock draft for you. It wasn't so bad. The chat was, nice. Keith, you got a nickname out of the deal. It's went pretty well.
I got me a new nickname for the staff meeting, baby. So I'm excited.
So you can't complain about that. Great job. Thank you to everybody hanging out with us on both the Twitter and the YouTube account. We're going to do more of these going forward, but next Thursday, I'll tease here, 7 o'clock, not a mock draft, but the TDN 100 update for the month of January ahead of the Shrine Bowl, ahead of the Senior Bowl. You got both of those events coming up around the corner, so we are going to do a TDN 100 update. Keith and Damian going to be on that show talking about some of the players that we are going to see at both the Shrine and the Senior Bowl and where they fall inside of the TDN 100. So if you're not already subscribed to the Draft Network YouTube channel, go ahead and do so, because that's where that is going to drop next Thursday, 7 o'clock here on the YouTube channel. Guys, it was a blast. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. Henry, the producer of this show, always a fantastic job. Thank you for putting up with the three of us going off here for the last hour or so. Again, thank you to everybody who joined us. For Damian, for Keith Spicy Sanchez, I'm Chris Schubert. We'll talk to you guys next time.